anybody got Salomon Rondon's number? Hi, and welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant, stroke thought of the day. And Storm Florist may have blown through the UK this week, but shitstorm has blown through Newcastle United this week because it's been absolutely grim as a Newcastle fan this week. No shadow of a doubt. I'm going to get stuck right into this. The lads were back on the training pitch today, as was a certain Swedish grumpy striker in the shape of Alexander Isak. So we're going to get stuck right into this, talk all about it and the latest developments, really. So what happened? So the lads came in. Eddie Howard organised some kind of a barbecue for them, a little bit of a team family bonding thing, which is lovely. He's done that before. Eddie Howard, to be fair, was just trying to find sunshine in this dark and gloomy sky that is above Newcastle United right now, just because we know what happened. We lost out on Benjamin Sesko, despite apparently bidding more money than Manchester United did. I don't understand why Newcastle United wasted so much time on a player that clearly was waiting for Manchester United to come and get him. I'm not going to sit here and blame the player, right? He's a 22-year-old lad from Slovenia. He would have grown up watching Manchester United, watching Wayne Rooney, Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, Zlatan is one of his heroes who played there as well. I'm not doubting for 1 second that this kid watched Manchester United and dreamed of playing for Manchester United. I know I took the piss out of Romano saying that, but I've got no doubt for 1 second that Benjamin Sesko probably did have that dream. Manchester United are a massive football club. I'm not going to deny that. All these plastics and these dickheads trying to score points off Newcastle fans on social media. There's not a single Newcastle fan alive, no matter how crazy they are, thinks that Newcastle are a bigger football club than Manchester United right now. But we are a better team and we have a better manager. That's a fact. Amram has not cut the mustard yet for Manchester United. He may have done a good job at Sporting Lisbon, but he has not done the job at Manchester United yet. Not the kind of job Eddie Howe has done. So that's factually correct. We finished 5th last season. You finished 15th. We finished above you the season before as well, I think it was. You only got Europe because of the Man City were pissed when they played the FA Cup final. So Newcastle are looking like they're progressing ahead of Manchester United as a team, not as a club, as a team. So that's why we're a bit pissed off and a bit let down that Benjamin Sesko didn't sign for us. But again, it goes back to the football club. What the hell are they playing at? Why are they wasting time kicking tires when they can't buy the motor? What is the point? Go after other targets. It just shows you how completely out of the depth this recruitment team is and what a shambles Newcastle United's upstairs infrastructural lack thereof is. I'll get more into that in a second. But going back to Alexander Isak. So Alexander Isak whizzed into training again in his Jeep with loads of people waiting for him, YouTubers, Sky Sports alike, the whole shebang, all waiting for him, blasted in through. He came in to train on his own in isolation just after the players had left. Now, that's not a good optic for me, because Eddie Howe was yet to speak to Alexander Isak, I think, face-to-face. I think those talks are scheduled for, is it tomorrow? I think it is. Obviously, having to talk to Alexander Isak in terms of the future and everything else. There's stuff getting leaked out, probably from Isak's people. There's Sky Sports presenters who, again, couldn't spell the word impartiality if I give them a fucking dictionary and put it in marker pen in front of them, talking about how Alexander Isak feels let down that the club don't share his ambition. And I'm pretty sure that's true to a certain extent. If I'm Alexander Isak and I'm watching the club not sign anybody for the last 3 windows and miss out on every single target going this window, I'd be a bit pissed off as well. But there's ways to go about it and there's ways not to go about it. And I think Alexander Isak and his people have gone about this the wrong way, as is Liverpool as well, I think. Unsettling our player, taking what would probably be the primary target in the shape of Hugo Ekitike to replace Alexander Isak, who sounded like he was making the right noises coming to Newcastle. Many ways, by taking Ekitike, they may have cost themselves Alexander Isak, but I'll get into that in a second. So it's miserable at Newcastle at the minute. It really, really is. There's loads of fans out there scoring points on the back of Newcastle fans. There is some opposition fans who are decent enough and understanding that Newcastle are struggling here and they're missing out on targets left, right, and centre. And I have a little bit of empathy for them. But the majority of them are just clickbait, loudmouth wankers. The ones who sadly have the most followings on socials and YouTubes and everything else, like C.V. Goldbridges, all of a sudden he's clipping and quoting Newcastle fan pages and sticking the boot in and all that kind of stuff, And I don't think Newcastle fans would have done that to the extent to him if we'd signed Sesko. I think we would have just been excited we signed the player. But, it is what it is. Newcastle have been made to be a laughing stock, really. And who's to blame? I blame the ownership. I absolutely blame the ownership. I think the PIF have been asleep at the wheel. All the Kool-Aid figures are giving them way too much fucking credence and wiggle room here for me. They bought the club 3 and a bit years ago. Yes, we've progressed in terms of we've been the Champions League twice, we've won a cup. But that's largely down to Eddie Howe's ability to manage and get the best out of players that were already here when the takeover happened. The likes of Jacob Murphy, the likes of Fabian Schär, the likes of Sean Longstaff and Miguel Almiron before, they were both moved on. The likes of Callum Wilson, even fucking Dubravka, to be fair. Yes, we've signed some good players, but short of that early ambition that the club showed, it's kind of dropped off a cliff right now. It really, really has. We're not signing players. People are asking why the players aren't coming to us. It's probably the wages. We can't match the wages. PSR and FFP are a real problem. And I've said this for a long time, and this is the way it's going to be. So for me, the PIF have been asleep at the wheel. They've put the wrong people in charge in Newcastle over in the United Kingdom. They've left them to get on with it. They've made an absolute fucking pig's ear of it. Bad appointment after bad appointment. More focused on opening up eateries and fucking executive lounges and actually focusing on sponsorship deals that will enable you to reinvest in the squad or invest in the right infrastructure to get the players in quick enough. None of that has happened. And I can understand why that's rattled a player like Alexander Isak and made him look at his future. But the problem is, I suppose, when you sign players like Alexander Isak, at the time we signed him, nobody was sniffing around him. We've signed him, we've coached him, we've made him a better player, and now everybody wants him. And that's kind of the situation you feel that you're in. I saw a clip of the overlap. I wouldn't watch it. I saw a clip of the overlap when one of the lads from Newcastle Fan TV was on, and Jamie Carragher with a gleeful grin like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, telling them breaking news that Manchester United won the race for Šeško, and then that fucking ball bag who stabbed the true Geordie in the back was saying you need to know where you are in the food chain. And I don't disagree with that statement in many ways, because Manchester United have been at the top table gorging and eating so much that they're fat as fuck and they can't fit in their jeans for years. But Man City caught them up, Chelsea caught them up, Liverpool have caught them up and all gone above them, these teams. But they haven't had, certainly City and Chelsea, in terms of new money and new success. They didn't have any of the financial boundaries that Newcastle had that were put in place to basically stop the Saudis throwing loads of money at it and making Newcastle title contenders in the space of 3 to 5 years, which is what Amanda Staveley said she wanted to do kind of from the jump, really. So PSR and FFP is working. I think the Saudis are bored. I think that they can't be arsed with the hassle and the bother and the the fences they've got to jump over and all of the shit that goes with it. They're more interested in focusing on, the Formula One, the boxing, the golf. But the thing that really winds me up about the whole situation, and I'm not sure within PIF that they actually understand what they're doing here. So look at the situation that we're in right now in isolation, going back to Alexander Isak. So Alexander Isak has been our star player for the past 3 years, right, since he's been here. The team's kind of built around Alexander Isak, giving the boy scores of goals, wins the games, wins his cups, gets his Champions Leagues, all that kind of stuff. Liverpool want our star player, right? They've made no secret about it. The way they've gone about it, I don't agree with it, but you can tell they want it. And he wants to move. He wants to go to Liverpool. We haven't been able to sign the replacement. I know people will say to me in the comments, well, Chris, they put up the money for Ekitike, they put up the money for Šeško, but they were chasing dead ends. They were chasing lads who didn't want to be here. It's bad targeting, it's bad scouting, it's bad transfer management. That's exactly what it is. But going back to the situation of Alexander Isak, why in the fuck would you go and give Liverpool all that money to sign Nunez for Al Hilal so the Saudi Pro League can have a big superstar, thus allowing Liverpool to buy our star player? Because that's what's happening here, guys. I'm telling you right now, when the Šeško deal went under, I was very quick to say, do you know what? It is what it is. Unfortunately, the lad's chosen Manchester United. I don't hold it against the lad. I blame the club for chasing a player that didn't want to come in the first place. Wasted valuable time that could have been off doing other targets, maybe Samu or maybe, is Gomez from PSG. I don't think they'll sign either of those two, if I'm brutally honest with you. I'll get into that in a second. But they could have been chasing other targets, Ollie Watkins, those kind of players to come in and actually give us a striker. But they haven't been doing that. But honestly, the way this transfer window's gone and the way that the PIF look at buying players and trading players, between Liverpool in particular, who's had a lot of trading history with Saudi Arabia, I don't think they're going to stop the Alexander Isak transfer. I genuinely don't. Now Nunez is going to Al Hilal. That triggers Liverpool to come back in with maybe 140, 150 million pound bid for Alexander Isak. We'll sell him to Liverpool. The Saudi Arabians will take Nunez to Al Hilal. They'll be buzzing with that. He'll have a fucking, a magic carpet like Aladdin in a fucking castle up on the desert hills and all that shit, and servants. So Nunez will be all right. He'll do a couple of seasons there and he'll probably fuck off back to Europe, But Isak will go to Liverpool. And what are we left with? Bupkis. Nothing. because I don't back this board and this committee to sign any players. That might sound controversial. I don't back him and get any more players in this summer. I generally mean that. Not a centre forward of note. Look what's left. You've lost everything. You've lost all the best. Gyökeres gone to Arsenal. Isak's going to leave where that's the best centre forward in the league next to Haaland. You haven't got Šeško. You haven't got Ekitike. Victor Osimhen was never an option. You know, Samu from Porto, there's no movement there at all, apart from fans trying to link it. There's nobody else. Wissa is a good centre forward, a good attacker, can get goals, but he's the level below Alexander Isak. Muniz at Fulham is a level below Wissa. People talk about Stren Larsen from Wolves. He's a level below Wissa. And whatever we do now, if we sell Alexander Isak, which I think these lot are going to do, they're going to sell Isak. The optics of him training alone doesn't look good. You know, away from the team, not interacting with his teammates in case, you know, Bruno's or Joe Linton's going to bollock him or whatever it is. I don't think this ends any other way than Isak going to Liverpool. And the Nunez move tells me that Liverpool are probably going to get this player. That's the way it's going to be. I've resigned myself to the fact that Newcastle have had a shocker of a window and they're going to finish it in a shocking vein as well. They've got Anthony Elanga in, who's a good player, who adds quality to the squad. They've got Aaron Ramsdale in, who's been relegated with 3 teams because they fucked up and couldn't get the first target over the line in James Trafford. But list off the players. All these people going, hey, you know, at least Newcastle have been in for these players. That doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter if we're in for these players. We didn't get him. James Trafford, João Pedro, Benjamin Šeško, Brian Mbeumo, Mateus Cunha, Liam Delap. You know, you're talking about quality players here that we didn't get. We didn't sign. Mark Gahey will be another one. If we make an attempt for him, he'll go somewhere else. These links to Malik Chow from AC Milan tell me they're not going to go anywhere near Gahey because they're probably not going to get him either. The Scalvini links have all gone. He's probably going to go to Chelsea or something like that. As well, Dean Howson's another one that they didn't get. They could have got him for 12 million when Bournemouth signed him if they were actually fucking woke up and signed anybody, you know, instead of just sitting their thumb up their arse or getting Lloyd Kelly on a free. So it's an absolute disaster, this Newcastle transfer window. And I've resigned myself to the fact that I don't think we're going to bring any more players. And I think we're going to end up with Anthony Elanga and Aaron Ramsdale as the 2 players that we're going to get in. If we get a centre-half in, it'll be somebody like a Malik Chow who can't get anywhere near the AC Milan team for 40 million. Milan are looking for. You could spend an extra 10 or 15 and get Scalvino and Gahey, but I just don't back this transfer committee to have any success in the transfer market. This sounds really negative, and I don't mean it to sound negative. I'm just being really pragmatic here. I've lost confidence in the club. I've lost confidence in the hierarchy, in the recruitment squad that's there. Andy Howe, that is, Nixon. I just don't think they're going to get anybody over the line. I think they've just been chasing unattainable targets all summer. I think they've been naive. I think they've been led down the garden path. I think they've had their pants pulled down more than Bonnie Blue. I just don't think that they're anywhere near getting targets in. I mean, even Sunderland have had a better window than us. Sunderland have signed loads of players. That pains me to say it. But Sunderland have got their shit together. They got promoted. They spent their promotion money. You look at that table of teams that spent the most money, and it's almost reset back to what you call the traditional big 6. You know, Newcastle and Villa were right down that list. Leeds and Sunderland are high. That's them spending the transfer money. But Newcastle are in a really bad way here. The squad is weak. You know, we haven't replaced Miguel. Well, Alanga's replaced Miguel Almiron in the squad. We haven't replaced Lloyd Kelly. We're now missing Sean Longstaff and Callum Wilson in the squad. We haven't replaced them. Isak's going to go. I'm pretty confident now Isak is going to go. I thought the club wouldn't be that stupid, but the way this window's going, I generally think that the PIF don't care. I don't think they see the problem. They'll just sell them, bank the money, and go, there you go, Eddie, you got all that money for players. There's no players out there to get. Nicholas Jackson being linked. I'm actually seeing Newcastle fans being so desperate now that they're trying to say Nicholas Jackson isn't that bad of an option. He is fucking toilet, man. He's dreadful. He's not only is he shit, you know, he can't, his touch is crap, his finishing is dreadful. He's also a fucking nutcase, swinging elbows out left, right, and centre, getting red cards. I'd rather have Mitrovic back for 26 million, who's been linked to Spurs. At least he knows where the onion bag is. Yes, he's mental, but he can score goals. But this is an absolute disaster for Newcastle. This is the worst preparation going into the new season with Champions League football on the cards. I'll do a proper season preview of my thoughts about it in the lead up to the Villa game. But genuinely, we've got the Cellar Cup coming the weekend. I'll come on and do a post-match reaction to the 2 games. I think it's against, is it Espanyol and Atletico Madrid? I'm just going to check that so I know that I'm right, just so I don't get myself all tied up. Yeah, Espanyol on Friday, Atletico Madrid on Saturday. I don't think Newcastle win either of those games. that'll be us winless through pre-season as well. And I'm sure I'll have loads of shitheads in the comments now giving me shit. Give me shit all you want. Good. Cry more. I'm not crying. Crying involves liquid coming out of your eyes. I'm not crying. I'm just annoyed. I'm frustrated. I'm fed up. I've had enough of it. I think the club's been completely mismanaged. I think the PIF are shocking. I think they've lost interest in the project. They've allowed it to drift out to sea. The people who run Newcastle United in the UK may know a bit about business, but no dick about football, haven't done anything to get their shit together. Poor Eddie Howe's been left in the lurch. He's got no support. He's out there trying to organise pre-season tournaments and games and fitness regimes and all that stuff. And all the while we're getting just rejected by player after player after player. You can't tell me there isn't something wrong with this Newcastle project now, the amount of players that are rejecting us. You can understand if it was one or two, maybe unattainable targets that went for the money or something like that. You get it, but you're talking 7 or 8 targets here. So something's not right in the world of Newcastle United. Something has gone wrong where these players don't want to sign for us, whatever the reason is. Have they got a sniff that the Saudis are bored and they're going to sell up and fuck off? Is that the reason? Who knows? But the Premier League have wanted this from the minute that takeover happened. I saw Liverpool fans as well going, "Oh, we're not part of the red cartel. We've had our bad years. Don't club us in with that." And yes, they've had bad years. Roy Hodgson's manager and Charlie Adams signing for you guys again, and I get that, right? But your manager Jurgen Klopp was one of the big drivers for the Premier League to bring in these PSR and FFP rules to stop Newcastle from spending that wealth. So that's something that your manager did. So I say fuck Jurgen Klopp and fuck Liverpool, in my opinion. Sorry about that, but it's the way I feel. I'm not interested in anything they've got to say. I really am not. They can fuck off, and and I hope they have a shit season. I hope Man City beat them to the title. Call me bitter if you want, but that's what I hope. But yeah, this has been a disastrous summer for Newcastle, and I really don't think the season's going to go well either. I don't think we're going to win these last pre-season games. I'm worried about Villa. I think Isak's going to go. The Nunez deal is pretty much confirmed that to me. I don't think there's anything Eddie Howe can say to get Isak to stay. I think that deal is done. I think the Saudis have already done it. I think they've already agreed it behind Howe's back, so to speak. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Howe's considering his future, because I would if I was him. But sorry, this is a negative one, guys, but this is how I feel. I'm very much fed up with the whole thing. I still support the team. That's my team. I'll always support them. I was here when they were shit, and I'll be here when they're shit again, which is looking like it's going to be coming very, very soon, sadly. But the PIF need to turn around and talk to the fans. They need to do something to sort this out, because fans are losing confidence. I've lost confidence. I'm not feeling confident at all. I don't think we'll get any new players in through the door than the 2 that we've got. Certainly not any players that's going to enhance the first 11. And I just don't think we're going to do very well next season. That's my gut feeling, guys. But let us know what you guys think about the situation. Like and subscribe. We'll be back with football all through the season. I'll try and do a post-match reaction to the 2 games at the weekend. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love Newcastle putting solid performances, play well, win the game. Song-Soo looking great. Miley looking great. All that other stuff. I'd love the Isak thing to be resolved. The club say he's not for sale. He knuckles back down and does what Isak does best and scores goals in a black and white shirt next season. I just can't see it. I'm sorry. I don't live in the Matrix. I live in the real world. And this is dreadful for Newcastle. And it is the way it is, guys. This is what we're going to have to deal with, I think, next season. But thanks for watching. Try and have a good day. Try and tune out of social media. It's not good for you. We're just a banter club. Everyone's taking the piss out with. It's not enjoyable. It's not fun. It's people are going, "Oh, it's only banter, mate." It's not banter at all. It's our club being completely mismanaged and ran badly. And the disconnect from the ownership to the club is so self-evident that everybody can see it. Even the Kool-Aid swiggers are putting their glasses down and going, "What the fuck is that? That tastes like shit." Because people are starting to lose faith. They really, really are. I certainly am. But let us know what you guys think. Like and subscribe. Keep it ever more. I'll be back with some more content soon. I'd love it to be a chirpier one, but I have a bad feeling that we're in for a rotten couple of weeks going ahead. Have a better, guys. See you later. Cheers.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.